Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. Next week we have the presidential elections in the United States. Election day comes closer, and I think it's a good time now to look back on the first term of Donald Trump. He wants to go for a second term now, but I think we should look back and think about what happened during his first term now. I think what is most clear, or what is something you can really easily see, is that he was not only fighting the media, he was not only fighting the Democrat establishment, the media, educational or academic complex, he was also fighting against, or he was up against, the security agencies in the United States. I think right now it becomes more and more clear, and more documents are coming to light, more and more stories are being revealed, where we can see that the CIA, the NSA, even the FBI, they are not neutral, they are not impartial, they clearly have an opponent, and that is Donald Trump. They clearly are helping, or they used to help the Clinton campaign, they used to help Obama, and now they are supporting Biden. That is very clear. And how can we describe this situation? How can a citizen even understand that? Because in the US, at least, technically, these agencies are not supposed, I mean, I'm talking about the CIA now, but they're not supposed to be used against American citizens. They are there to protect Americans from foreign threats, first and foremost. Now, in Germany, that kind of principle doesn't really exist. Our Secret Service, maybe they have different names then, but it is very clear to Germans that our Secret Service and our security agencies they were put in place in order to spy on Germans, and in order to keep the German opposition down and keep the German people under a state of, I would call it, occupation. That is very clear, and it is very clear to see from history, how Western Germany especially was built up after World War II. It is very clear that our media and our secret services and our security agencies, their target is not a foreign threat. Their target is the German population, the German people. But in the United States, I think so far it has not been clear to most people what is going on. They were operating under the assumption that their security agencies are there to protect American citizens. And now we see that this was not the case. Maybe it was never the case. Who knows? I mean, I'm not a historian, but maybe one can dig a little deeper, and maybe one will find out that it is not a recent development, that it was always the case, that they are rather put in place in order to control the population by psyops means, or by disinformation campaigns, or by controlling the media, controlling the narrative, and really steering people into one direction or the other in order to accomplish their goals, and in order to always, at every point, at every place, hide what is actually going on behind the scenes. Especially now in the first term of Donald Trump, this is very clear. That their work is not to protect U.S. citizens. Their work is to get the candidate into office that they or their handlers want, and that the population, the public in the United States, the citizens, are misled, they're misinformed, and they don't know what's really going on. And this becomes really clear now when you see that the allegations against Biden, for example, this is just one example, but how the FBI is just sitting on it, not really doing anything, how the media is ignoring it, even going as far as lying about the origins of these emails and these files and these photographs that we have. They're lying about it. They're saying that the Russians are somehow involved, which is there is no evidence whatsoever. And this is not the only story. I mean, even before a lot of things came to light, like the Snowden leaks and all these things, we know a lot now that we didn't know a couple of years ago still. And especially from my German perspective, this is very interesting because we Germans, I mean, at least the ones who were somewhat informed, it is not some hidden knowledge or something. I mean, if you are just reading the newspaper in Germany, you know about these things. You know that the German Secret Service, the Verfassungsschutz, or the any secret service or security agency in Germany, they are openly investigating Germans. They are openly operating against Germans and not foreign threats. So to us, that is very clear. But people thought in the US it is somehow different or something because, you know, they won the war and they're the country of liberty and they have a constitution. But we see now that the constitution is just a piece of paper. And if you don't know what's going on, if you don't know what's happening, if you if you allow people to get away with these things, I mean, they are in some cases clearly violating the Constitution. But if they get away with it, and if they can make the story disappear, nothing ever happens. They can just continue to do it. So the Constitution is a piece of paper. You have to make sure that people stick to it, that people respect it. Otherwise, it becomes a laughing stock. They will just ignore it. And in Germany, we have that curious situation that we don't have a real constitution. At least, we have a Grundgesetz, but that is very far from a real constitution. And German citizens know that they are not protected by any piece of paper, and if they were, then nobody would respect that anyway. For example, the German Secret Service, the Domestic Intelligence Agency, Verfassungsschutz, it's called Constitution Protection. Yeah, it means it should protect Germans from ever having a real constitution, probably, which is funny because we don't have a constitution, but they're called Verfassungsschutz, which means constitution protection. Yeah. Okay, so they had I would say, not right wing, but a more common sense, centrist kind of boss, like an agency head, right? A bureaucrat. He is called Mr. Maaßen, and I know I mentioned him in many of my previous videos, and he was fired. Why was he fired? Well, Antifa was pushing a certain narrative about a right-wing mob that was hunting foreigners through the streets of Chemnitz. That was a complete lie. It was completely made up. Nothing like that ever happened. They have a 2-second video where you actually see that Germans are attacked by foreigners, and then they defend themselves, and that defense is that they're giving chase to them for like 2 seconds or something, for 5 meters, and then they stop because they defended themselves. The foreigners were running away. And Mr. Maaßen, as well as the mayor of that city and all the people responsible in the state, they all said that is a lie, that didn't happen, that is false information. But it was posted on an Antifa site, and Angela Merkel and the political establishment in Germany, they were just taking over completely that narrative, this lie that was pushed by far left Antifa guys. And this guy, this head of the German domestic secret service, he said that is not true. And then he got fired. And he was replaced with someone who is loyal to Merkel and this international clique, or this international group of globalist people that is controlling Angela Merkel. The new head is loyal to them now. And now our agencies are also used once again fully against the German people. And how can we describe that? I would say it's some kind of an autoimmune disease, just the same way as feminism or what they teach at universities, this critical theory stuff. That is, in a sense, an autoimmune disease. It is turning our own people against our group. Yeah? It is turning them around. It is telling them, your own family is the enemy. Your own folk is the enemy. You know, the foreigners, for example, they're not the enemy. They're the good people. But your own tribe, your own group, they are the problem, and they must go away. And it is a similar story with these agencies, with these security, with the security apparatus that we have. They are originally, I mean, if everything goes as it should, they would be there in order to protect us and keep harm and danger from us. But they're not doing that. They have been co-opted, they have been infiltrated and turned around, and now they're working against us, and they're working for foreign powers, but I don't mean foreign powers in the sense that it is a foreign country, like the Russia hoax that the Democrats are spreading in the U.S. It's not that kind of thing. It is not a country. It's not a foreign government, really. It is a group of people that are, for a very long time already, internationally connected. Part of it is family ties, part of it is tribal, part of it is just business, but they are very well connected for a long time already, and they don't know any nations or borders. They're not interested in that. Yeah? They think globally, and they want the people of the world to be their servants. And this is why they co-opted in many countries. And in the US, it becomes clear now. In Germany, it was always clear, as I said. This is why it's so funny from a German perspective that you find out now, together with the Americans, interesting. So it is the same thing for you also. And it probably was so all along. You were just thinking that the Constitution protects you, or that your laws protect you, or your amendments or whatever, right? But in reality, your government, your these offices, these agencies, they are also infiltrated already, and they are also working against you. And this is what came out a couple of years ago, but especially I would say the way that Donald Trump was treated, and that these agencies clearly came out against Trump. And it's obvious for everyone that even reads the newspaper now that these agencies are not doing their actual job. They are political actors. They are openly supporting one side, and they are fighting the other side. And I don't think that this is what they should be doing. So what do we make out of this? Well, I think a lot of it depends on who wins the next election, really, if this can go on, or if some people there have to be fired, or if you even can turn this around, if you can turn these agencies, these security forces, if you can turn them into a state in which they would fulfill their original mission, and not the co-opted one that they are working on now. I don't know, but I guess we all know what happens if Biden becomes president. I mean, then it will be, yeah, it will be tough. It will be really harsh. It will be like Germany now. Yeah, that means the globalists will have full control over all levels and all areas of the state, and then the citizens have the full state power against them. And that is a very tough battle. We see that in Germany. There is not a lot we can do because of that. So in that sense, I really hope that Trump wins the election. I don't really know if he is really a good guy. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But it has to mean something that all these security agencies and all these intelligence agencies, that they're so openly against him. That, I mean, that can't be random. Yeah, there must be something going on. Because if everybody was just on the same team and it's all completely theater, I mean, why would they do that then? I mean, just to give the people something to talk about. I think they could have that way more easy. I think there is really something going on there. At least there are two different factions that are battling it out at the moment. But we will see. Maybe some more things will come to light in the future. That was just my little rant, or my little observation in a more general sense about certain parts of our state. And how that is in the US and how it is in Germany, and that it is actually not much different. Just, I think, in the US, for a very long time, people were under the illusion that they are working for you. So long, Servus, Kameraden.